Hello and welcome to the expansion video. In this game we have Cats first in control on Delta Quadrant, and I have to say this is the first time I've tried running Fraps with the game sounds going on as well as my own voice, so having the echo is kind of trippy. I guess I would be appreciative if anybody knows how to fix this and would post it in the response to this thread. It's not going to help me with any of the other videos, but it would make recording in the future a little bit less trippy. Not that I really mind trippy. But in this game, Cats is going to expand very frequently, and Control is also going to expand in response to Cats, and we're just going to look at how each time they expand it changes how they should best go about defending their bases. And this is something you really need to be aware of as a player, because every time you expand you not only increase the number of targets for your opponent to attack, but it also just increases the number of ways your opponent has to get at you. Like this very first base by Cats, it's a very good base to take. Well, I don't want to say good because I usually prefer this back base here. However, it's significantly slower than this base, so for 14 expand you're really stuck with this one. Let's go ahead and look at how taking this base really fast affects Cats. To start with, he moves his defensive line from this ramp, where he can cover it apparently with 2 drones, to this ramp, this choke, and this ramp. Or I guess you could also just say it's just this huge choke here. Either way, the entrance to Cats' base has expanded significantly and granting Control a I guess more versatile is a good word for it, a more versatile approach to how he can attack. Like, he's putting this pylon here, and also he has this one up here, and Cats are going to put down spine crawling. But if Cats had not expanded here and instead opted to expand back here, Cats' area of defense would just be this ramp, and in the later part of the game, this ledge. And air would be a greater threat than land, because right now, even a Zealot has a huge access through here. But both pylons are about to be destroyed by Zerglings. This is actually going to be cancelled. If we look at in Control space, he has responded to Cats' very fast expansion by taking his own expansion, and it's affected him in much the same way. He has thrown down a bunch of cannons to help aid in his defense, because he does not have a gateway as of yet. However, he also has to defend this huge choke or ramp, choke and ramp. And Cats is all ready to take his third, well, already ready to take his third. Yeah, I suppose I have to be grammatically correct. But when he does take this base, that's going to expand his area of defense from this area here. I guess we'll go back to the very beginning. At the main, his area is here. Second base to here. This third base is adding this ramp, as well as this section down here. So in Control went from having one tiny access, one very large access, to 2 medium-sized accesses, and 1 medium access as well over here. So in Control now has a very good choice of entrances to Cats' base, and we'll see this probe exploit that in a little while. And Control, meanwhile, is using what's called a Sim City. What a Sim City is using base structures to create artificial walls or choke points. Like, for example, this pylon and forge are creating a small choke point that can be blocked by a stalker, this pylon and ramp are creating an artificial choke which can be blocked by a zealot. This still doesn't look tight to me. Actually, that's definitely not tight, at least not Zergling tight. You would need a zealot here to completely wall that off. However, this looks like it would be Zergling tight, so you can sneak in through here and get into this middle line. But we can see In Control is already abusing this third ramp, which Cats certainly cannot defend with his limited forces of 7 Zerglings right now. So In Control is actually going to be able to do a lot of damage to this base. Control, meanwhile, has taken his second and has opted to not quite complete, however, just play defensive rather than play ultra greedy, and that's actually going to play into his favor a little bit because he has less area to defend this fast into the game. You can see that with these 3 cannons back here, Cats has no option to defend this base, so he's just going to lose it and hope he can get enough minerals from the gold patches to pay for the base before it explodes. Control, meanwhile, is still only on his 2 bases and really doesn't have a whole lot to worry about. Cats is determined to have his 3rd base because this one's going to die very quickly. He's taking this gold base. This is going to be his 4th base in a few minutes. And what this is going to do is he's going to have to be able to defend this base, well, this ramp, which is also part of In Control's area of defense. So they're gonna have this hotspot right here. Also, In Control can put a few cannons up here and hit the assimilator, extractor, refinery, whatever, and also the drones on these patches. He is also going to have to defend this ramp, this choke here, and this ramp as well, which has been secured by In Control. So Cats has 2 very vulnerable, actually really 3 very vulnerable entrances into his base because they are all very far apart. So that's going to stretch Cats very, very thin. Maps like Scrap Station, where players are really eager to take that gold base far away from the main bases, it's an interesting choice because if it's not scouted, then it's a really good advantage. However, if it is scouted, it's almost a guaranteed kill for your opponent, or for you, depending on which side you're on. But In Control has completed his SimCity build, and it's just a wall of gateways in the Cybernetics core. There still needs to be a zealot here and a zealot here, maybe even here. I really don't. No, definitely not. Just a zealot here and a zealot here to make this a complete wall. And then there's just this little choke here, and that's the only entrances into this area as well as the main base. Cats, meanwhile, has been completely abusing his 3 bases while he had 3 bases. Now In Control sees this, doesn't actually attack because that would leave this entire area vulnerable, because he doesn't. This is his area of defense, and this is right next door, so it'd be quick go, kill, and come back. But he doesn't have any information on Cats, so he doesn't know how vulnerable that would make him. Cats, in the meantime, has just been creating an army out of the 2 bases he's had and the gold he had for a brief moment and the gold he has again. So he's just abusing his many bases to create a very large army to be able to cover him, because at this point he can certainly cover all 3 bases as well as apply pressure to In Control's multiple entrances, because he is defending this ramp primarily right now because this is where his army is gravitated towards, but he still has this entire area to defend. And see, Cats is over here scouting for In Control's 3rd. He's also getting ready to take his own 4th. And what taking this 4th is going to do is it's going to extend his front line to include this ramp, this choke, and this ramp. So Everywhere past this ramp, choke, and ramp essentially belongs to Cats and his area he has to defend. So that's just one way to think about it. Also, another way to think about it is he now has in control in a complete surround, which is being shown here. He was able to attack from essentially all three directions at once and just completely destroys in control standing army. So that's really all there is on base. Base is how having different bases affects how you need to defend. In Control took 2, had a very small area to defend and played defensively. However, that ultimately backfired when Cats got his 3rd base, and I guess these Colossi really just don't like this pylon. But Cats was able to abuse having a much wider zone of control and just use that to attack and control with such a force from so many directions that he couldn't deal with it, and was just able to make sure In Control could not actually damage him. And Control just wasn't aggressive enough in attacking Cats, so Cats was perfectly, well, he was content to sit back and then mass this huge army and attack from multiple directions at once. And that's this game. There will be more details in the text below if you care to read, but this is the gist of it.